So the Midrash fills in details here. It fills in the story of Avram as a young child, challenging his father's selling idols by smashing the idols and leaving an implement in the hand of one of the bigger idols that he when his father comes to say what happened here, Avram says that the larger idol did it, and quite obviously we don't necessarily have the end of the story told us, but quite obviously this questions Terach's belief in the idols or not.
What do you mean at the end of the story? Isn't that part of the Midrash also that Terach said? The question says?
Terach says he couldn't have done it, it had to be you. Mm-hmm. Because it's an inanimate
object.
So that is the end of the story. And so then Avram says precisely.
So I don't remember that part where Avram says precisely. I see that
he doesn't, but it says left.
It's exactly. So the story is left for us to infer that Terach accepted Avram's point, rather than just chiding a child for doing something, or for interfering with business. So it's implied but not expressly said. The story goes on to Avram being somebody who is challenging now the accepted belief in the world, and hence is put on trial by Nimrod, and is in fact
is the local ruler,
and is in fact put into a fiery furnace.
That's Ur Kasdim, by the way. That's what.
And we will mention that at the end.
That's what it means.
We will mention that at the end of the sentence. Haran, Avram goes into the furnace and comes out alive and unscathed. Haran is asked which side he is on, and he says, "I am on Avram's side." And he himself goes into the furnace, and unfortunately, he does not come out from that experience. And this falls back to what we had said. He believes in the conveyor of the message, not in the message itself. So, Vayamot Haran, and Haran died. That's just left there hanging, and the Midrash has to come in and fill in the details for us as to the method of his death and the reason for his death.
Here where it says Haran attempted to implant in Lot the new concepts and teachings, what are they referring to? What are the new concepts and teachings?
So
do we know?
Both what Terach is giving him, which is thoughts that date back to Noach, but also Avram's modifications and teachings that Avram gave back to Terach that move forward from there. So it's mostly Avram's influence on the original teachings from Noach that Terach is trying to give to his children.
Mm-hmm.
So Haran tries to give some of those things to Lot, and that is why we see that Lot becomes strongly bound to Avram, because he's not strongly bound to Terach. He's going to become bound to Avram because it's really Avram's modifications of the ideas, or Avram's concepts about the ideas, that is what influences both Haran, and Haran tries to give that to Lot.
But isn't that a good thing? So it says, and he died. Like
he died. Why? Again, we just said he died because he believed in Avram. He didn't believe in what Avram was saying necessarily, but he figured Avram said it, so I'm gonna do that. That looks good.
I'll have whatever he said.
I'll have what he said. Yes.
I'll have what she said. That was Bob Breiner's mother. Mm-hmm. You're talking about the Herring Naftali, obviously. No. I don't make a great pun. Well, you said that bound. I think Yitzhak was more bound by Avram's teaching.
I was waiting for that one.
Now, wait a minute. Wait. What's the order of the kids? Who's the oldest? Do we know what these guys?
Avram.
But he had kids much much later. Like these guys, Haran and his two brothers had kids way before him, because he's marrying his niece.
He's Sarai Akara, right?
Akara, or he married. Oh, whatever. Okay.
We'll move on. Number one, Haran attempts. So this is again the Menach. Haran attempted to implant in Lot the new concepts and teachings, and he died being accused of betrayal by teaching ideologies that conflicted with the general belief. So Haran is trying to teach what Avram said to Lot, and that flies in the face of what Nimrod is trying to impose on the populace in relationship with the end of the previous sentence. So we see that Lot is being influenced from Haran with the teachings that relate back to Avram, not the teachings that relate back to Terach. So because Haran is doing that, therefore he flies in the face of the local authorities. So as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So he is separating himself out from the local rules and the local authority. So here, Haran, by teaching what Avram taught, and that is going forward into Lot, but obviously not continuing in Haran, because we have the second word Haran with a katon. Not only did Haran simply exercise his duty as a father and educate his son, but along with this, he also showed self-sacrifice, Mesirat Nefesh, for the true faith in God. For this, he ended with a noble death, Mot Kedoshim, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So, by standing up for the right ideal, he gets something higher, but by not necessarily believing in the ideal, but believing in the messenger, he gets a lower dot. So that is why we have a katan with a both higher dot. He did the right thing, but for the wrong reason.
So like the Kuzari, that he says that your intention is good, but
So that there we have one higher, one lower. And we have another comment on this. Vayamot Haran, and he died Haran, following Holid et Lot. He produced Lot, indicate the cause of his death, and by the sequence indicates a sigh of the Torah, Genichat Torah, as explained before. That was obviously explained.
Whatever.
Genichaz a groan. That's a sigh of groan.
what does that mean?
So this again, this is I think going back to Bereshit, so that's why we haven't come to it.
Have you heard of that before? I never heard of that.
No, but I tried to speak to the person I'm speaking to about Zohar, and he told me later. so I don't know. He would tell me later.
Oh, he didn't tell you
He
yet?
didn't tell me that.
But you know where it is in Bereshit? Because obviously, if he says that, explained before, it's somewhere.
I didn't look back through the entire section, but I'm guessing it's when God feels regret about creating the world and thinks that He's going to bring on a flood. That would be the obvious place where it would appear. In any case, we're saying he does a great thing. Holid et Lot. He brings forth Lot, tries to teach him in the more elevated principles, and he dies for that.
So whose expression is that? Is that their father's term?
No.
It's a term.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. And what was the other thing that we had recently? Just today we had it. What you asked about it, Sheldon? The Samir Hamsheh.
Yes.
Oh, that was also.
Al Panay, over face with a tipcha. So this is backwards looking to the previous word with a pause after it. Haran's crime was substantiated by preaching revolutionary views like Abraham. These ideas strikingly conflicted over face of the existing concepts, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So literally, this is a slap in the face of what his father's business was. and certainly of what the general principles of the generation were. Terach, separated out by Emunah, of Terach, number 4, in relation to Haran, the accusation of Terach was also imminent because he was suspected to be an instigator and or a partner with his son, as stressed by the shape of the reading note. So we're going to see that Terach didn't get this fate yet.
Of what? Being thrown in the fire?
Of being executed by Nimrod, or being put on trial by Nimrod, but we think maybe he fell under suspicion at this point
by being the father.
by being
father of 2 kids that are rebels.
And yeah,
or maybe after that midrash, maybe
Terach
continues.
Terach continues to move forward from here, so Terach does not suffer this fate at this time.
Terach could have been a bit of a Balshuva there. What's the end in Malachi? They say the Banim Avot Banim. So this isn't the Balshuva movement at all. It's amazing what's not said. There's so much not said in the Torah. Well, I like Haran better now today. I never got that. You can just see him as the little brother of Abraham, and he looked up to his his older brother, and even if it's for the wrong. And he is the father of Sarah.
So how does number 4? How does the note give us the explanation in number 4? Like, what is the note that's under Terach?
Is a munach.
So how does that
so again,
connect it with
he
what came before?
he is doing the same thing that caused Haran's death. Vayamot is separated out from the rules and teachings of the current generation.
Correct.
Terach also thought to be separated out from the rules and teachings of the generation because he is the influencer of Avram and Haran, or by implication is thought to be the influencer at least.
So does that mean that Al Pnei Terach is being interpreted as Al Odot
So
Terach?
Al Pnei separated out. Sipcha, pause. Terach, because Terach has that same munach as Vayamot, that's where we're drawing the same implication, that separated out from the rest of the generation and suffering a consequence because of that. Haran suffers a direct consequence because of his open rebellion, saying I believe in Avram, and Terach suffering perhaps a little bit of ostracism, but not so verbal or loud that he actually suffers the same fate. So he does the same thing in a more quiet way, and therefore he lives a different future than Haran lives.
You're talking about Terach.
Terach. And yet, the Vayamot and Terach have the same note, and that's why we're saying the same thing about that note in this sentence. Different from the generation, and suffering the consequence of having their difference. Aviv, number 5, his father, because with the stabilizing at Nachtah, because not only was Haran executed as a grave offender against the general religious principles, but also his father was seen as the engineer of a, quote, nest of crime, which could keep spreading, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading line. So the thought again was that this is leading to an ostracism of Terach, his father, and him perhaps being somebody who was accused as being the originator of these thoughts, or accused as being somebody who is allowing this to continue when the rest of the land does not want it to.
Maybe that would give us insight into what we said before.
Keeper of the revolutionary ideas. Maybe
the story was just a front that we said Terach is a bigger tzaddik than we thought. Maybe the story was just a front to appease the authorities. I'm an idol seller, but he really believed like a son.
Yeah, I picture Terach as being a guy who builds these dolls.
He doesn't necessarily believe in it. It's what sells.
But yeah, but it sells. But what's behind it, the spirituality, is worth keeping. No.
Oh.
Is worth keeping. That the idea of the spirituality is worth keeping. You're right. These dolls are nothing.
But spirituality
But
itself,
the spirituality that these represent is
That is-
worth keeping.
Right. Yeah, this nest of crime, is that an expression in your father's native language is what? Yiddish or German or what?
Well, he was born in Poland.
Right.
But he spoke English.
So nest of crime, is that an expression? Is that his expression? Why is it in quotation marks like that?
What?
Is that a well-known expression, nest of crime, or not in English? It isn't. I mean,
It's like from film noir.
Yeah.
is it though? I've never heard that expression, nest of
Really?
crime.
And how is that
Is it one?
stabilizing?
Yeah.
You've heard of it? Oh, I never heard of it.
It's stabilizing because we're saying that he's trying to maintain his ideals. The ideals that Terach is starting to instill, again, influenced by Avram's teaching.
And that Terach is Aviv, his father, and therefore his progenitor, and therefore the progenitor of his ideology.
Can I make a comment? Before I didn't realize what I was saying, but when I remember I said the Terach is an anagram of Charut, and there's that famous thing engraved on the Luchot, don't read it engraved, Ela Cherut, that it's ultimately freedom, right?
Freeing,
So
yeah.
this could sort of go into what we're saying, that he made the idols, like he engraved the idols, but he really believes, like what you said, the spirituality, which is the Cherut. You get it? Is that a good comment?
And that's actually not a unique thought. I mean, even when it is said
What's not a unique thought?
that the idol itself, people who make idols or people who worship idols may recognize that the idol itself is an inanimate object. It's just a focus.
It's like with the Egel. I mean,
That's what I was
right,
just going to
right,
say. Is
right.
with the Egel is that I understand that there's a school of thought that feels that the Egel, they weren't worshiping the Egel, they were worshiping Hashem, but they
Right, yeah,
needed
this is
a physical.
Same with the Rambam talks about the beginning of idol worship. Paganism, I mean,
Touchstone.
it's better than these people today who don't believe in anything. At least they believed in nature, whatever. And nature was they were the luminaries were from.
Perhaps a better expression of that is Lo Yelecha Elohim Achirim Al Panan. Why do we use that word?
Still Elohim, but Achirim. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Why do we use that word? Why do we use one of God's names to describe idols? Because it's an attempt to look for the source that stops too soon.
Wait a minute. Have you heard of nest of crime? Are you making that up? You've heard the expression nest of crime?
Yeah.
Have you? I never heard of this, and I watched
No, but it
noir
sounds very
movies.
1930s.
I think you really have heard
Maybe
that.
my dad used to say it. Maybe I heard it in my dad's home.
I know, but where did he? That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a translation from another language. In another language, it's nest of crime. No.
I don't know. I wouldn't get hung up on it. I
I'm
think
just
it was
interested
just-
because he's writing the Parish, and I've never heard the expression nest of crime. So it sounds like something that he's translating from another language. That maybe in German it was
Looking it up,
an
too.
expression.
I don't think so.
What did you say?
We're asking Rav Ruhl.
About Google. Yeah, who is? You want to? Oh, good. Karen's right on the top. I'm telling you, Sheldon, you're very with it usually. Except for Karen. Have you heard of that expression nest of crime?
I've heard of den of thieves.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So if he would have said, right, then the thieves, but not nest of crime. That's what I'm thinking. It's a translation of another, what does it say? No. Sue, I wish your father were here. He might still be here somewhere. He just ran away from home from your mother. It sounds like, others, why would you use that expression, nest of crime?
Understand,
Doesn't
nest of
exist,
crime.
unless he made it up himself, or I'm telling you it's from another language.
A nest for criminals.
I'm sure the Penguin and Batman would have wanted to have a nest of crime. Other than that, I can't think of anybody.
Why are you
Like-
sitting-
I think we're
Like
gonna
Cooper's
have-
Nest, like
Cooper's
Cooper's
Nest.
Nest.
I think we're
Cuckoo's
gonna go
Nest.
on.
No, we're only doing this for
Why
Sue.
used to be such a
We're only doing this for
rat's
soup,
nest
but
for
we should
crime?
we
Which
should
I
at
think is
least
good
get
because it's
through it.
Koach, it's 28, so it's...
We should get
No.
get through it. Agreed with
That's what the
strength.
Richard doesn't have an breakdown, right?
Okay, moving.
How he
The
talks about
Eretz
it, I don't know.
on land with a mercha, which is lightly
we're on
connected.
his birth
Number
or
6
on land, right?
lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving forward after it. Living on land of a country, Haran and Terach were reminded of their duty to obey all existing laws or face the severest punishment, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So Terach is living on land, i.e. he is living in somebody else's kingdom,
So
and he has to
play it safe.
somewhat toe the line, otherwise he will suffer the same fate as Haran. Moladito, of his birth, with a tipcha. This pushes us backwards to what's come from before and pauses afterwards. Although Terach lived in the place of his birth, where he had many friends, relatives, and acquaintances, he was overwhelmed by the severity of the rigid laws introduced by Hammurabi, Amraphel, or Nimrod, who forced everybody to accept his religion.
That's why later he moves also before Lech Lecha, Avram's Lech Lecha. He's going to move. It's coming up that pasuk. Right? Terach did a foreshadowing of Lech Lecha.
Terach.
We're going to see in the future.
Yes, but we're perhaps trying to see why Terach thought that it would be okay for him to leave this place. So we're seeing that he's starting to feel persecuted there, and therefore he would have a reason to leave.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Also, it's foreshadowing of Lech Lecha, the Lashon.
So
wait, did you say that they're translating Amraphel and the other and Hammurabi? There was three different people there.
I think he's saying that all those three are the same person.
Ah, really? Okay.
Amraphel, when it's translated out of Hebrew, has some...
No, Amar pull, like fall down.
Yeah.
And Nimrod, they both have that, yeah. But Hammurabi was a good guy, sort of, no? Or, and they say
he again set down a rigid set of laws.
It was like good for humanity, whereas Nimrod was, that's why I wouldn't think it's the same person. They both have a negative connotation.
Any laws that don't take circumstance into account and are absolute can lead to abuse.
Right. Well, the Torah also can lead to abuse if we use it wrong.
So we closed off the thought because it was a tifcha, so there is still the influence of the fact that he was born there and he had connections there, and yet Ur, which is a mercha, so again likely connected to what's come from before but moving forward afterwards, thus Haran was sentenced to die on Ur by burning, or instead of Ur, light, torch, or fire, to be thrown into the oven for burning bricks, as specified by the directional shape of the reading mark.
This could have started already way back to when Nimrod was making bricks for the tower.
So we're saying, where did we throw in the concept of bricks? We throw in the concept from the Tower of Babel, which we said that the idea of making bricks was the new technology that allowed them to build the tower, and hence, connect the concept of fire, and because we're talking about Nimrod, we bring in the concept of bricks.
Nimrod's not alive now, is he? We saw that he died already, right?
We told the story that Nimrod dies, but he's contemporaneous here. He's still at this time.
He's still alive now. Oh, right, he's the one who's ruined the furnace, right? Of course.
Yes.
So how did he die? What?
Oh, so they said he died back then because they're doing the genealogy when people lived and died. Oh, but he's not in the genealogies, is he, Nimrod? Or?
He's not.
Well, our Parshat is here.
Yeah, but Nimrod is not considered one of the genealogies, is he?
No, but what we're saying is our
mentioned
Parshat
before.
is Nimrod is Amraphel. Oh, no, sorry, Amraphel. Right.
So yeah, because Nimrod is not from that. Well, Nimrod has to be from someone.
He was mentioned before.
No, of course he was mentioned, but I'm saying in the genealogy was he mentioned. He was mentioned in the context of Babel.
But I think he was mentioned as being the son of somebody.
I don't think so. Oh.
The point is,
Why
it's
would
after
he be-
Noah.
And Cush had produced with Nimrod,
So,
V'Kush Yaladet Nimrod,
Right.
10:8.
But he didn't go the next.
but if we're saying that Nimrod
What's the
is
name?
Amraphel, Avram is later going to fight Amraphel.
Right, the 425 kings.
So
Right. Oh.
he is still alive even
Then even right now. Right.
So he is-
but I'm
he is
saying it's
alive
not the
even-
genealogy
even-
where they say someone was until they had kids and then
So he wasn't
not known.
he wasn't mentioned as any one of those. He is none of these
Right. That's
direct descendants who leads a generation. He is simply somebody who is in one of these generations who is conquering and usurping from those people who are perhaps the more influential leaders of the generation, and carving out power for himself that wasn't necessarily deserved. Hence his name, we should rebel, not only
Right.
because of the Tower of Babel, but because he's fighting against the Gadol Hador, if you will, the person who's supposed to
The
be
Migdal
the
Hador.
influence, the Migdal Hador, yes.
But what I ask you,
Yeah.
when you just said whose son was he? He was Cush's son?
Cush,
So as far as the
From
genealogies, do they
from Ham.
they don't do Cush? I mean, what are the genealogies again? Why isn't Cush? Is Cush in the genealogy? Or I'm mixing up with the genealogies with the.
But here's
B'nei
Shem.
Ham Cush, Mitzrayim, Ukut, Uchnan. V'Cush Yaladet Nimrod. Hu Hechel Lihiyot Gibor Ba'aretz. That's 10:6 and
But from every generation,
So-
like they pick one kid, and he's this line in the link. So who do they pick? One of Nimrod's brothers, I guess, right? Who were the Nimrod's brothers there?
Cush, Zva, Chavila, Savta, Rama.
No.
That's not
So,
what I said, but
so there's one person in each generation. It's not necessarily. We're following the line of Shem. We're not
just
following
Shem.
the line of
Okay.
Ham.
Oh, Ham or
Or
oh,
Yafet.
Kain. I'm getting mixed up with Kain. Okay,
Okay?
right.
We're
Just Shem.
following Shem.
Just
That's all
Shem.
we're
Those-
doing.
So those
So
second
these are
10. Right.
these are all descendants of Shem.
Oh, Shem. We don't do Cush
So
and Ham.
we don't do Ham here.
We don't do Ham and Yafet either. We're coming.
Correct.
Right. I mixed up with the first
And
set
the
of of the 10 were Kain. So I figured we do bad guys, but okay. We only do bad guys
Not
in the first 10.
not a question of good guys or bad guys.
But-
we're drawing lineage. If we want to follow Rashi's opinion, so that we can exactly draw this chart, so that we can
Leading
date
up to
things
Abraham, because he's
and
the main
see
thing.
and see who lives how many years and who's still alive when somebody else
And
is
divided
there,
Abraham
and
into
who
20,
influences
that's
who,
right.
and so on. So we're drawing numbers so that we can calculate out Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov, not for any other reason.
Right.
So we're following the Semitic line only.
Right.
The other lines are mentioned because they influence the way the rest of the 70 nations of the world are formed and their influences, but they don't follow the Semitic. They don't.
No, but that's the second 10. But the first 10 generations, which we also have genealogy, you're saying that's also to lead up to Abraham, but just to get to
to get to Noah.
Right. To get to Noah. Right.
The last word, Kastim, of Kastim, number 9.
You always have to have the
With
last
the
word.
stabilizing, well, we'll have a last word after the last
Yeah,
word. With the stabilizing pasuk, that, quote, burning center where Haran was executed was in the settlement of Kastim. And again, we'll mention it later, Genesis 22:22, where it was considered a religious ritual.
What was?
So, burning someone alive.
Oh, like Moloch.
Like
sort of.
Molech, exactly the Molech.
But what seed is like, that's what they learned as bricks, seed, because that's like the mortar of the bricks? Kissidim.
Mm-hmm.
Seed is law.
Seed is,
I know,
seed
but
is,
for bricks,
yeah.
cement or whatever. So, okay, that's what they
Lie is what you use to destroy a building or a foundation. It's not something that you build with. It's something that you destroy with.
You do? What's lie? No, what is lie? L-Y-E. What is it?
When you build a ship.
The strong base.
You also use it as a protein.
A protein?
Protein. And something like that. I think it's...
Wait, lye isn't lye in cement? What is lye?
No.
It's just
It's
destructive?
a cement. It's an ingredient.
Yeah, so that would be what...
Destructive.
But it's
Yeah.
very...
What do you mean destructive?
Corrosive.
Corrosive, that's the word.
But
So you could certainly use it to shape or surface something.
so it's
You
constructive
use
also.
it to etch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right, I'm saying, okay.
massive.
it is the opposite of
Yeah,
this.
it's
It's
Broken, yeah.
very strong. And we will continue on. We have one more thought on Ur Kasdim. Among the gods of the Mesopotamian pantheon, light and illuminating elements were worshipped by the concept of the religion, the sun, the moon, lightning, and fire. Not only was there a fire maintained continually in honor of specific gods, but also criminals were thrown in as their food for being rebellious against their rule. Compared from Rashi and Lehavdil, the concept of Ner Tamid, the eternal light. So we're saying that there is a power to light, but we see beyond it the concept that it is supposed to represent, which we take back to the source, to God as being the provider of light. Whereas these religions are taking the fire and the light and the idea of light and all sources of light as being the end, as being the spot where you imbue